So, like I said, this morning we will do the family roles. This morning, as you think through that, I want you to just kind of think through your own system, your own family system, and how that is for you. As we get started this morning, I want us to come to this idea when it comes to family roles. Uh, Family roles are ways that families have patterns and ways of behaving. They're ways that we adopt certain strategies to survive within our system, our dysfunctional systems. And so think of it this way, roles are survival strategies. They're not identities. So often when we think of roles, we think of their identities. No, they're not identities, they're strategies. Uh, Clients bring their childhood roles into adulthood until they're named. And so many of us, that's what we'll see. We'll see those clients show up and they'll perform for us, even in their unique setting that we're in with them. So again, just as a reminder, these are not labels. They're surviving strategies, and they're ways that every child or an adult learns how to cope with the pain, the chaos, the shame that is within their family system, that dysfunctional family or the addictive family system. And so those why those matter, why roles matter to us. Roles stabilize the dysfunctional systems that we come in, and they meet a systemic need. There's a need for all of us to play our unique roles. The family dynamics need us to play those roles because there's a need that come out of that, and then therefore, and you'll see this as this webinar goes on, those shape patterns well into our adulthood. And so we want to help name those, give compassion to them, and then help them really have a choice how to function through them in healthy ways as they create space and boundaries to move out of their roles that their family wants them to play to a healthy place. And so this lecture really is to now address really what one writer says, and all this work comes out of two people. Sharon Cruz is the first one. She's really the pioneer. She wrote a book in 1981 called Another Chance. And it's in her groundbreaking work that she's the one that kind of came up with these six roles in every family, every dysfunctional family. These six roles are very prevalent. Those six act as if, think of it in this way, a mobile over a baby's crib. And so every one of the roles are one of those pieces of the mobile, and it will all function to stabilize the family system. So sometimes, as you'll see, one of the family roles will overcompensate for another, and it's all to bring stability to that system, the chaotic system. And those six roles are the hero child, they are the achiever in the family. So they really bring pride to the family. They'll try to bring a place of balance to the shame that the dysfunctional home is bringing. So the hero child is the achiever. The next one is the scapegoat. They're kind of the rebellious one. The scapegoat is also the one that's probably the most truth-telling of the bunch, but they tell the truth in a way that would be misbehaving or rebellious. And because of that, most people don't listen to the scapegoat, though the scapegoat is the one that's telling most of the truth within the family system, how the family system's operating, the dysfunction of the family system. The next one, and these are in no particular order, but every family will have these. And you can also, just as a way of thinking through this, you can be one or more of these. You're not just sold out to one of them. You will primarily be one of them, but there's times that you can pick up one of the other roles. The next one is the lost child. They're the invisible one. They disappear into the backdrop to avoid all the chaos and the dysfunction of the home. The next one is the mascot. The mascot, think of them as the class clown. They bring humor to the dysfunctional home to diffuse the tension in the home. So a mascot thinks if I can just be funny enough, the humor will then bring us to a place to be able to function within the dysfunction through humor. The other one is the addict. The addict is the person who's really the whole system's behavior is orchestrated around. So they're the central theme. They're most of the time the problem, but the problem then the system, the hero, the scapegoat, the lost child, the mascot, and then the last one, the enabler or the caregiver, kind of rotate around the addict and they become the centralized focus of the dysfunctional home. Though the entire system is dysfunctional, most blame gets placed on the addict in the home. And again, when you think of it in this way, think of it like this, that these are actors in a play, and they all have a script. And this is, they didn't choose these parts. These parts were kind of chosen for them by the way God wired them, designed them, created them. You'll see this at the end. And all of us were assigned one of these roles. So as you're thinking uh, through your own system, today through this lecture. Who on that list do you most identify with today? And so this is what happens with every system and with every role. There's a trade-off. So with the hero, they gain competency and they become brilliant. They're high achievers, but they lose spontaneity, and then because of that, they live with this amount this intense amount of pressure to continue to be the hero through their competency, through their brilliance, through being smart. But they live now with this pressure to continue that role. The scapegoat gains freedom by telling the truth. But because of that, they often lose belonging within the family system. And so they don't fit in at certain places because they tell the truth. And so because of that, it moves them into isolation. The next one is the lost child. Again, the lost child, they avoid conflict. They want peace in the home, but because they avoid conflict and they want peace in the home, they often lose connection. And when they lose connection, they become visible. This is in my home. I was really the lost child, and I saw this play out into my adulthood. I desired peace, but because I desired peace, I didn't like conflict. I wouldn't engage much, and you'll see how this will play out. I really did become invisible, invisible in my home, invisible throughout school, and visible throughout my early career. The next one is the mascot. They bring humor. They're probably the funniest one. They're most likely the ones that become the stand-up comics. Um, but what happens is that they get laughter, they get the reward of laughter, but in that they become inauthentic. They lose true self in order to gain the laughter of the family, and so they lose a true sense of identity and who they are. The next one is the enabler. The enabler, they are trying to, and if you watch the clip from It's a Wonderful Life, that's the mom. The mom's the enabler. She's trying to enable the addict to gain control of the situation, to diffuse the chaos in the home. But in that, she loses, or you'll lose a sense of self. And out of losing a self, trying to gain that control, you become utterly exhausted because you have to continue to live and operate in this place of control. And then the addict gains escape through their addiction, but because they then lose true integrity. They lose who they are out of the escape of the addiction of whatever it is. And so that's just kind of a run through of yes, here's the family roles, and here's the payoffs that happen. Uh, And then another lady that kind of came with uh, Sharon Cruz is a lady named Claudia Black. Claudia Black, she's also a key thinker when it comes to this idea of family roles. Uh, in her work, she took the family roles and then came up with what we would call family rules. The rules of a family. How does a family operate in dysfunction? So there's roles and then there's rules. That's the family system together. So you have to have family roles, but you have to have rules within that family to function within the dysfunction. And she says this is how it plays out. She lists three things. And if you've heard any of our other lectures or our podcast or any of the other webinars, these may sound familiar to you. She would say this, uh, these roles get assigned, um, but the rules are assigned, but the roles are assigned, but the rules are observed. So think of it this way. Children breathe the emotional climate of the home. And so because of that, the roles are assigned to them, and then the rules are absorbed to them, whether they're spoken or not. They get in them, um, and therefore, uh, another way to think of it is this way: roles are what children do, rules are what children breathe. And so Claudia Black, in her pioneer work, says this: that here's the three uh, rules. Don't talk, don't trust, and don't feel. And these three roles, she gives some side rules that we'll get to in a moment. But these roles shape every family, and they shape every family. They shape the role of the what the child plays as well. So don't talk, don't trust, don't feel. And I want to walk us through each of those and kind of give more context for those. So with don't talk, here's kind of the message of don't talk. So in a family system, the family system learned to not talk. And here's what she says. She says, we don't name what hurts. So we don't talk about what hurts in us and how that plays out. This forms in a family is secrets become the survival technique. So we don't talk about what's happening in the home. Therefore, we keep the secrets in order to survive. Addiction and or dysfunction is minimized or denied. So how we get to a place of not talking about what's happening in the home, there's a minimization or denial about what's talking in the home. And then out of that place of not talking, children fear not being believed. So because they don't feel like they're going to believe, they don't say anything. Now, the impact of that home and the impact on that child is this. The impact, the child becomes silent. Right? They stop talking altogether, at least out loud. They have internal conversations, but not external conversations with trustworthy, safe adults. They begin to doubt what's happening in the home because no one's talking about what's happening in the home. So because of that denial or minimization, they doubt what is occurring around them, and then they live with a tremendous amount of fear. And then what happens in that is there becomes this inability to narrate their own story. They don't even know their story. And so maybe that's you, and you came to Tin Man and you weren't able to really narrate your own story because you were never able to talk about what you were experiencing in your home. And so out of that comes really this place of hypervigilance that they no longer are going to speak. And when they do speak, they're hypervigilant that they're afraid they're going to say the wrong thing. And what happens that as that child grows up, the impact that has on a child, they then make patterns in their life and clear into adulthood. Those patterns, as you can see, are patterns of they become conflict avoidant. They're uncomfortable and avoid uncomfortable topics. They minimize their own personal pain. They live within surface level relationships. And then, uh, if you're here as a coach or you've come to Tin Man, this is where really we see people really have a difficult time naming what they need because they're not allowed to talk about their feelings. Then they have a hard time addressing the needs that come out of this. And so a way for us to walk through and to be with people through this as coaches would be this. These are some questions, some techniques that you may want to ask. What was off limits to talk about in your home? Uh, you want to end the session, slow down moments when the client skips over emotion. So oftentimes you may see a client begin to share their story, and there's feelings within that story, but they have not slowed down enough for them to talk about those feelings. And so we make the opportunity to slow down the session for them not to skip over the feelings that we are observing and help them feel those feelings. We help them name and with sentences out loud what they were never able to say. So we begin to give them sentences and give them structure around what they feel and what they have experienced as children. And then we begin to normalize telling the truth. We help them that telling the truth about where they came from. Another way to say this, we want to name where they came from, and them naming where they come from or normalizing the truth is very much a part of the process. And if you have any questions, you can text those or wait to the Q&A at the end. The next is don't trust. Uh, the don't trust part of the rules would be this: how they're the message that's told is dependence is dangerous. So depending on people becomes very dangerous. How that happens and formed in this family system is this: there's mixed messages that come from the caregiver. So because of that lack of knowing what signals are being put off from the caregiver and the mixed signals, they begin not to rely or depend on the caregiver. There's emotional unpredictability in the home. It's volatile in the home. And then there's a lack of real physical or psychological safety within the home. And now the impact that this has on a child is they become hyper independent. They fear relying on anyone else. They're just suspicious of kindness, and they don't do attachment well because their belief is if I attach to someone, attachment will cause me great harm. And so this is another way you may have heard it before. Attachment, where people become avoidant in their attachment, is because they don't trust people. How that plays out into adulthood is they're have uber levels of control for safety to protect themselves. They avoid intimacy at all costs. There's difficulty in receiving help because they don't trust the help that they're receiving, and then they will emotionally detach. This is one of those places where this may sound like sexual addiction. It's because we desire attachment that we can't trust attachment. We'll go find it in illegitimate ways. One of the ways that we as coaches can help navigate this is through some of these questions would be, who did you learn you could not trust in your family system or the system around you? So who were untrustworthy? We would want to introduce in session what I would call and what Claudia Black calls micro doses of trust. So how can I help them as the coach have micro doses of trust in me so they can begin to trust me so they can go trust other people and or back into their family, their relationships they have outside of the coaching um, the coaching realm. The next would be this, and this is probably the most important one with people that struggle with don't trust, is we want to model consistency with them. We want to show up and just model what it means to be trustworthy. And so our trustworthiness, they can begin to depend on the trustworthiness. And then the last one would be to really explore their hyper independence as a trauma survival strategy, how they're using their independence in a way to control because of the trauma they experience. And we can help show them how that's a survival strategy. Uh, the the last one is don't feel. The family message becomes or the message that's received is feelings make things worse. So I'm not going to have feelings because my feelings make the system worse. And how that's formed is uh, they're watching their caregiver, their parents, shut down emotionally. So they can't, then they're not seeing anyone else have emotion. Therefore, they're going to shut down emotionally. The other way that this could be formed in a home is emotions are expressed. When a child has emotions expressed, they're either punished for it or ignored. That's where the saying, big boys, big girls don't cry, wipe those tears away, turn that frown upside down. Those are all messages of emotions expressed are either punished or ignored. A way to punish them is I'll give you something to cry about. Have you ever heard that? That's a way for children in a home of dysfunction to not have feelings. And so for them, their home is a lack of safety for vulnerability. So because there's no safety for vulnerability, and we know this, our emotions are the most vulnerable thing about us. We will no longer have a place to allow ourselves to feel those or to express those things. So we begin to suppress them. And that's the impact on the child. The child numbs their feelings, they emotionally suppress their feelings, they begin to even disconnect from their own bodies. They're not going to feel what they feel, even within the somatic work of themselves. And then therefore, they're not going to trust what they're feeling. And out of that comes really a fear of tears, a fear of sadness, a fear of any feelings. They'll have fear about their feelings. What happens in an adult, how that fleshes out and our adult patterns is this. We become emotionally detached from other people. We overthink things. We numb those feelings through work, through sexuality, through ministry, through substances, through codependent relationship. Those are all, as you think through the transformational process, the top layer of that, those are the ways that we cope with not being able to feel. And then what happens is you'll hear this often in session. I don't even know what I feel will become the reflex. You'll ask them a feeling question and their reflex will be, I don't know what I'm feeling. And that's true. So some ways for us as coaches and individuals, what are our interventions to that? The interventions are this. This is where the eight feelings, we want to help them and teach them and explore the eight feelings to feel what they feel, tell the truth about what they're feeling, and to begin to give them to God and other people. Another way you may want to do this is so they can connect back to their body. We know this in the work, the body keeps the score. We know this through other people's work, that our bodies really do tell us what we feel. So oftentimes, if a client doesn't know what they're feeling, I'll just ask them, well, where do you feel what you feel in your body? And then I'm going to help connect their feelings to help them see what they're feeling. So a place of fear, anxiety is an unsettled gut, maybe clammy hands. Anger could be balled fist, and those sorts of things. Uh, Rage could be tension in the neck. So help people feel what they're feeling in their body and then connect them to the eight feelings. The other thing is to really normalize grief, normalize tears, bring normalization to the feelings. And a way we do that in a session would be to slow down the session and let the pace of the session open them up to vulnerability, therefore opening them up to their feelings. Some of the secondary rules that she says are this. We no longer think for our own. We no longer uh, ask. We don't ask questions. We don't play. We no longer make mistakes. And so those core three of that we don't feel, don't trust, and don't talk also have these five other core ones in her book is what she talks about. And so again, we stop thinking, we stop asking, we stop playing, we stop questioning. we stop, and that's the difference between asking a question and we stop questioning out loud and we stop asking for help. That's the difference. And therefore, then we have to live with perfection, and therefore we can't live with joy or play. So those are some of the secondary issues. Um, and this is kind of how this is not, uh, you know, formulaic, but this is kind of how you'll see it play out. And again, these can be uh, changed, but this is historically in her work. She says most lost children don't talk, mascots don't talk. They talk through humor. They don't talk about the truth. Heroes don't trust are the scapegoats. The heroes, the addict, don't feel are the mascot, the enabler, and the hero. That's her uh history of work. When she sat down and did a history of her work, that's kind of what she came up with and observed out of all her clients, that those roles are played into those rules. And so roles then are adaptation to the rules. So how do I, if I can't talk, I got to become someone different. I got to lose my identity, is basically what her work says. And so this is kind of how it will play out in uh, each of the roles, how the rules play out in their roles. So in the role of the addict learns not to trust anyone, and the only thing they trust is the substance or the behavior that numbs the pain, because trust is too risky. The enabler, the way it plays out for them, they learn not to feel because feelings would expose the pain of the home and the chaos. So they stay busy controlling and numbing. Uh, the hero, they learn not to talk about weakness. They only do that through performance or success or perfectionism, because that's uh, substitutes things for vulnerability. So I don't talk about it, I just perform my way through it. The scapegoat, they learn not to trust in authority. They rebel because uh, rebellion becomes safer than relationships. So the scapegoat is going to use rebellion as a way to stay away from relationships, because relationships are too scary, too vulnerable for them. The lost child learns not to feel, and they become invisible. That invisibility protects them from the pain and disappointment of what they feel they may bring to the family. And then lastly, the mascot or the clown, the class clown, the funny one, learns not to talk about pain, and therefore they use humor to mask and hide fear and shame and the pain. So again, all these rules keep a family secret safe, but they also shape everything that we are and who we are becoming. We'll skip, just for the sake of time, uh, the case vignette, but we will talk about, well, how does this integrate into our Christian worldview? And so uh, this is what happens, and this is how we kind of want to help in our sessions, how we want to bring stability, normalcy to the client. So now if you are working with a client, how do we bring, right? The gospel says to us that there's hope, and these don't have to be our identity, they can be our coping strategies. And so how do we then operate and bring interventions for the hero child? And so again, if you think of it in this way, the hero is the achiever, the perfectionist, the one who tries to save the family by excelling. And we often need to help bring and honor their strengths. So their perfectionism, we got to honor that. The way they excel in their family, we need to honor those places. Um, but in honoring those places, so it's bringing to light how they've operated in their dysfunction to bring survival to themselves. We want to honor that. We don't want to shame them for those things. But then we want to move from honoring those places to then helping them count the cost. Let's explore the cost. What have you had to lose in yourself, your true identity, to be the hero? And what does it cost you in your life? One of the ways to do A true intervention with a hero is through give them an experiment to be imperfect, and then let them explore the feelings around what it feels like to be imperfect. So, for instance, I had a client there. He was a hero child, and being a hero child, said, "Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to Walmart. I want you to get some crayons and a coloring book, and I want you to just color the picture with your non-dominant hand. That's all I want you to do. And I want you to bring that picture back, and I want us to talk about the imperfections of what you're trying, what you did." And so we did a lot of work around what he felt, the shame of what he saw, and how he colored in the picture, the all the imperfections that came with that. But that gave us an opportunity to really explore what it felt like for him to be imperfect, because he was never given permission in his dysfunctional home to be imperfect. And then another intervention is this, is that you want to help them grieve what they've lost. A hero has really lost their childhood because they had to grow up, they had to be something they weren't able to be. As we know, kids are imperfect, but in a dysfunctional home, a hero child is not allowed to be imperfect. So we want to help them with that. And then again, one of the greatest helps is to help them separate their true identity from their performance. This is where we come up with the idea of the idea of a performance um, addiction or identity in their performance. And so you would want to do some work around their performance-based identity. The next is uh, the, the the scapegoat. The scapegoat. The real intervention is to de-shame them. Um, right? So they come from all this chaos, from they create their own chaos, and so we would say that her words are de-shame. Our words here at Tinman would be, we want to help them deal with their toxic shame and move out of their toxic shame into healthy shame. We would want to, as a practical intervention, reframe their rebellion as a protest. Like when a scapegoat child is being rebellious, it's really them trying to tell the truth, but they don't have a safe place to tell the truth. So we want to help them in our session, in our work, to give them the words of the protest they've always wanted to say in a healthy way. And that's how we want to teach them healthy truth-telling places and spaces. Um, so uh, that's we want to also then say to them their behavior, though that's pushed them out of relationships, being able to not being rebellious, to have a true protest, to tell the truth in healthy ways is what's going to gain them attachment in relationships. The next one is the mascot. The mascot is the Joker, the class clown. He's the one that's, or she is the one that's often trying to bring lightheartedness to the situation. It's a way to really take a breath within anxiety. And so what we want to help them do is not use humor to do that, but to build emotional vocabulary. That's the 8 feelings, how to express their true emotions uh, through the expression of feelings, not the expression of of humor. The other way with mascots, what scares mascots is silence in the home, because silence in the home meant danger. So we want to help them tolerate silence. This is where the intervention may be for 5 minutes of your session, 10 minutes of your session. Just sit in silence and see what happens in them emotionally. And then again, it would also be to say this to them, is to allow the mascot and give them permission for sadness. And the sadness leads them to acceptance rather than having to come up with a story around what they're doing to bring stability to their home. The next one as a way of intervention is through is the lost child. The lost child is the one that is surviving through disappearance, literally or figuratively. This was true for me when I was in treatment. I was a lost child, even at 30 years old in treatment. I kind of just sat back, watched, observed everything that was going on. I definitely didn't trust everything that was going on within the community, but didn't ever say it out loud until one day through a psychodrama, I was able to practice visibility. And visibility for me came out of really finding a voice to say, see me, look at me, I'm over here. And so we want to help our clients uh, practice visibility. How do we let them be seen? We do this small and in safe ways in our uh, in the room of coaching. The next thing is give them really again her language, not my language, is micro risks. Some of those practical ways. You know, a lost child oftentimes will just kind of go along with the flow, and so you want to give them the exercise of, hey, next time you're with your friends, I want you to pick out what restaurant you go to, and I want you to be able to say what your desires are. When next time you're on a date, I want you to be able to tell your date, this is what you desire. Um, I want you to start speaking out in your 12-step recovery group. So next week, I want you to come back, and when it's the open share, I want you to share something small in that small, intimate space. And it's to let them really gain relationship with other people that they can say that they see that there's trustworthy, safe people that they can come out and be visible with. The next one is the enabler. This is really the enabler is trying to keep the system running, but oftentimes it is coming at a great cost to themselves. This is where the greatest thing for an enabler is boundaries, and so boundaries with the addict. This is kind of how we're going to do life. This is where we're going to um, navigate. And so you can put healthy boundaries in place for safety for the person, for the family. And so this is where boundary really comes in to play with the enabler. The other way is to begin to, this is where S-Anon or Al-Anon really is helpful because you want to help them detach with love. They're in codependent relationships. If you're an enabler, you're in the codependent relationships. And so to move out of codependency is to detach from the relationship with love. And then uh, in Galatians 6, it says this, you want to let the addict carry his own burden or the family carry the burdens. You don't have to be the burden bearer, the one that carries all the load of the family system. And then lastly is the addict. The addict, this is really the intervention is really to go get help within their an AA treatment, 12-step meetings. And so how we do all that is this in our work. This is the worldview, the Christian worldview that we have here at Tin Man. We would believe this. Roles are not their identity, and so we want them to help not see themselves as the roles that have been defined to them, but to help them see their true identity in Christ, how Christ wired them, gifted them to go do what Christ has called them to do. This happens through a lot of grace. A lot of grace. We can offer those transformational patterns of grace in our session to help them move out of their roles. And then we want to help them see that they belong to our God's family, not just their dysfunctional family, but there is another family. This is where the church comes into play. This is where small groups come into play. We want to help them see their belongings in a bigger, healthier family. One way as you're reading would be just look at the Luke 15, the prodigal son. Both of those children, sons, were playing their roles. The older brother was the perfectionist, he was the hero. The younger one was the addict, the scapegoat, and he went off. And so we see even these roles being played out in Scripture. So just a way in closing, we want to help name the roles that our clients are dealing with without shaming them. We want to ask them in their roles, what problems is your role solving? How is your role solving the problem within your system? Again, it's not an identity, it's a strategy how to stay safe. And then our work with all clients are to be slow, compassionate, and bring awareness to the work that our clients are doing. So those are just a quick overview of the six uh, roles and the three rules of a family system. All those family systems, again, are ways that we deal with and cope with the family dysfunction. And so again, they're patterns that we adopt and behave in order to remain safe and survive dysfunction in our home. So again, they're not labels, they're surviving strategies and coping mechanisms through the chaos and the pain and the addiction of our family system. Um, uh, this is just as we sit with these last few minutes, just think for a moment, what role did you play? You can type this in the group chat if you want, you don't have to, but just as you're thinking, what role did you play growing up in your home? And then for our coaches, how does it show up in your coaching? How does your role, even as you get well, how does it show up in your coaching other people? And then for you in your own life and my life, what are the things we need to continue to uh, unlearn to be healthy with within other relationships? And then last, this is just kind of how it fleshes out. This will be made available on our website to just as a chart of the person, the feeling, the behavior, the defense mechanism, the payoff, the price, and the personal mission. Again, this is not Tin Man's. This is their original work that we kind of put together into this one chart. So at this point, I will stop sharing uh, and open it up to any Q&A. So in the Q&A, if you have any Q&A, we'll take the last 11 minutes for questions. One question, this will be made available shortly. It's got to go through the process of being rendered, but it ought to be available in the next week or two on our YouTube webpage. On that YouTube webpage, there are all of our webinars that we've done since starting them. They're free, and there's also our podcast videos. And then there's other shorts and stuff on that. So all of our recordings are housed in our YouTube page. If you can't find that, email me and I'll send you over the link. Another question is, what book or books do you recommend around this topic? So most of this work came out of really two books. The first book is, like I said, Another Chance. The other book, and that's by Sharon Cruz. The other book is by Claudia Black, and that book is It Won't Happen to Me Again. Those two books are really, they're the kind of the forerunners of this work, and that's where I gained most of this from. The question is, I work in a missions agency and we see these show up on the field and in team dynamics. How can we help people grow an awareness of the family roles prior to hitting the field? What preventative work can we do? That's a great question. And that's really one of the main things that we want to do here at Tin Man is to help people identify those. If you are doing the assessment process, it would happen in the assessment process to bring part of the assessment process when we do assessment on both church planners, missionaries. We pull this work in. We pull that work in through our family of origin work, our story work, So that would be a way. That chart may be helpful for you to go through with someone as well. Yes, it is possible to play multiple roles in your family system. Uh, again, the addict is going to play multiple roles. The hero could play multiple roles, but historically, those we're going to bend more towards one of those. We're going to have primary and secondary roles, is how I would say that. But yes, you can play multiple roles in the system. Um, the question is, as you've worked with hero roles, what does healthy relating look like practically on the backside as heroes get more right sized and healthy? Uh, Great question. That I would say this, it's really to bring familiarity and to let them know the giftings. A hero there's so many great gifts in a hero, but really it's helping them to detach from the performance that's leading to the hero role. So if they can detach from a performance-based identity to their true identity, then they become right size. So the way that happens is through the work of healthy shame to help them see who they are, who God made them, how God made them, and then to really release them to go do what God's called them and created them to do. The next question, not a question, but I think one slide needs fixing. I'll fix that. I appreciate that. Um, Thanks for that caveat. Again, this PowerPoint will be made available as well. So these notes are made available, the PowerPoint, anything you need. If you ask for it, it will be available. Um, any other questions, comments? Well, again, as you head into the holidays, as you head into Christmas, and you head into your own uh, family of origins back into your systems, uh, please just take some time with the Lord and ask the Lord, like, how did I play, and what role did I play in my family system? Because you're going to be drawn back to that. Even when you go home for the holidays, you'll be want to be drawn back into, and your family system, if it's unhealthy, will want to draw you back in to fulfill the role that you always played. We call that the homeostasis of the relationship. And so the homeostasis of every family of origin is going to want to force you back into the role you have historically played. That's where boundaries come into place. The best way to figure out your role, there are some assessments online that you can take. If you can't find one, let me know, and I will uh, send you an email with some assessments that you can take. But those books will be super helpful. So yeah. Um, don't talk, don't uh, feel, and don't trust. So don't talk, don't trust, don't feel. And again, those aren't any particular order. That's just the order that she wrote them in. So again, the three rules of a family: don't talk, don't trust, and don't feel. Uh, can you expand on shifting from performance-based identity to Christ-centered identity? How do you see this truly happening in people? Great question. Uh, I- the way that the shift is to help them deal with their really their shame. The shame is what's keeping them from their true identity. Their shame says, I've got to perform. My performance is what leads to attachment, and attachment is what leads to, it truly is what leads to relationships. So we can work with them And this is a very quick answer to this could be a whole webinar all to itself. But to get them to a Christ-centered identity would be to let them explore with them who you see them in Christ, who they see they are in Christ, and then to state that to them. That's a great question. That's a hard question to answer in a short amount of time. Let's see. You- Well, it depends on the system. So the question is the enabler role typically only played by one of the parents, or can one of the children fill that role? It depends on the system. So historically, the parent or the spouse is the enabler. Uh, but if there is only one parent, then a child will often play that, will have to assume that role as well. But typically, yes, the enabler is the spouse of the addict in the family system.